Hello everyone. So for this video lecture, I'm going to talk about the herd management on dairy goats. This is the part one on the management of dairy goats. So basically, we've finished yung sa dairy cattle. So another topic ito on dairy goats naman tayo. So basically, parang magkapareho lang sila pero may mga specific management practices lang na i-employ mo or i-adapt mo on dairy goats since um, dairy goats and dairy cattle, obviously they differ in size and then may difference pa rin naman sila. So I'll try to get over it yung mga specific na management practices that we need to do on dairy goats. So first, let's talk about yung care of pregnant goat muna. So, pregnant goat, tapos yung kid, then yung mga growers hanggang sa maging dairy na siya. So, in caring for a pregnant goat, basically, we will going to talk about the uh, three stages. So first is on the breeding and then on the early gestation and late gestation. Yung pagbubuntis na nung goat natin. So at each of these stages, there is preferred body condition scoring na tinatawag or score na tinatawag. So itong body condition score or yung BCS na tinatawag, ito yung parang basis mo kung maganda ba yung pangangatawan nung kambing mo if ah, ito yung basis mo kung malnourished ba yung kambing or obese ba yung kambing. Kasi kung malnourished or obese yung kambing, we try to fix it. Kung malnourished, then bibigyan natin ng mas madaming feeds, mas bibigyan natin ng sufficient na nutrient, and then pag obese naman, then idadiet natin sila. Kasi pag obese or pag malnourished yung isang kambing or any other animal, it is bad for their health. Lalong-lalo na if it is a pregnant goat. It will lead to complication during kidding, during parturition. Kung malnourished or um, obese yung kambing natin, yung pregnant goat natin. So, kailangan na alam natin yung body condition score nila. So, that ito yung unang body scoring, yung 1. So, yung laging tatandaan lang with the body condition score na 1 is that, as you can see on the picture, payat siya. Ganito siya kapayat. Makikita pa yung hunger hollow na tinatawag dito. So, emaciated and weak animal wherein the backbone is highly visible and forms a continuous ridge. And then the flank is hollow. Ribs are clearly visible and there is no fat cover and fingers easily penetrate into the intercostal spaces between ribs. So, sinasabi na yung pag body condition score na 1, um, weak and emaciated yung animal, meaning kakapsot and then um, nakutong yung animal and then makikita mo dito sa backbone niya, nakikita mo and then dito sa flank niya, it is hollow dito sa part na to. Then makikita mo rin yung ribs niya are clearly visible. So yun yung ano ng body condition na 1 ng isang kambing. So, as you can see also, the hand can easily grasp the transverse process of the lumbar vertebrae, which is very prominent. Clearly, half of the length of the transverse process is discernible. So, maano mo daw, mahahawakan mo daw yung lumbar vertebrae as you can see dun sa ginagawa ng tao. Nahahawakan niya itong lumbar part ng kambing. So, ganon. So, yun yung laging tatandaan when there is a body condition scoring na 1. Talagang payat, malnourished yung kambing. So, another one, external fat can be easily grasped between thumb and fingers and move from side to side. Then the cartilage and joints joining ribs or sternum are easily felt. So, ma-feel mo daw yung sternum niya at saka yung joints the rib, ma-feel mo daw. And then dito, hahawakan mo dito, itong external fat na tinatawag, it is easily grasped. So, parang ganyan, easily grasped lang. So, meaning, pag ganitong mga condition yung nakita mo doon sa kambing, then, it has a body condition score of 1. Pinaka malnourished, pinakapayat. Then, if it has a body condition score na 2, so, makikita naman na mas mataba pa rin kaysa doon, mas mataba kaysa doon sa 1, sa score na 1, pero medyo payat pa rin. So, there is a slightly raw bone. The backbone is still visible with a continuous ridge, as you can see here. Some ribs can be seen and there is a small amount of fat cover. Then, yun, some ribs can be seen. Pero, mas konti na lang compared dun sa previous na score na 1. Then, intercostal spaces are smooth but can still be penetrated. So, yun. And then, ito, the hand can grasp the transverse process but the outline of the transverse process is difficult to see. About 1/3 of to 1/2 of the length of the transverse process is discernible dito sa part na to. You can grasp pa rin yung transverse process na tinatawag dito sa lumbar region niya, pero hindi na ganun hindi na easily as compared to yung sa 1. Then, yung sternal fat dito sa part na to is wider and thicker but can still be grasped and lifted by thumb and the forefinger. Then, the fat layer can still be moved slightly from side to side. And then, yung mga joints that join or doon sa sternum, doon sa rib, na-feel mo pa rin pero less evident na. So, doon sa previous slide, talagang magagrasp mo, mahahawakan mo itong sternal fat. Pero dito sa body condition score na 2, hindi na masyado. Kasi wider and thicker na, as you can see. So, yun yung body condition score na 2. Then, for the body condition score na 3, which is yun yung parang goal, yun yung parang minemaintain natin na na minemaintain natin na score. Nasa 2.5 to 3 body condition score. So, the backbone is not prominent. Hindi na makikita yung backbone. And then, ribs are barely visible or discernible. Hindi na makikita yung ribs. And then, an even layer of fat covers them. Then, intercostal spaces are felt using pressure dito sa part na to. Hindi na masyadong na-feel. Yung outline of the transverse process dito sa part na to of the lumbar vertebrae is slightly discernible. Then less than 1/4 of the length of the transverse process is discernible. Hindi na masyadong makita yung lumbar region niya. And then itong lumbar vertebrae na to cannot be easily grasped because of the tissue layer covering the vertebrae is thick. So, mataba na. So, yung namang external fat niya, it is wider and thicker compared to the previous scores. It can still be grasped but has very little movement na hindi mo na siya masyadong magalaw. Then, joints joining the cartilage and the ribs are barely felt. Hindi mo na masyadong mafe-feel yung mga joints. So, ganyan. Mas wider and thicker yung sternal fat. And then, for body condition score na 4, the backbone cannot be seen. Hindi na talaga makikita. Doon sa body condition score na 3, makikita mo pa rin pero konti na lang. Dito, hindi mo na talaga makikita. And then yung ribs, they are not seen. The side of the animal is sleek in appearance. Then, it is impossible to grasp the spinous process of the lumbar vertebrae. Hindi mo na siya masyadong magra-grasp. So yun, mas mataba na siya. And then yung external fat niya, it is difficult to grasp because it is of its width and depth. Mahihirapan ka nang i-grasp yung external fat niya. And then, hindi mo na siya mamumove from side to side. So, yun. Then, for the body condition of 5, which is considered as obese, the backbone is buried in fat. So, yun. Di mo na makikita, tapos nakocoveran pa ng fat. Then, the ribs are not visible. And then, the rib cage is covered with excessive fat. Talagang hindi mo na makikita. The thickness of the muscle and fat is so great that the reference marks of the spinous process are lost. Hindi mo na makikita talaga. The spinous process forms a depression along the backbone and there is a bulging transition from the spinous to the transverse process. So, dito sa part na to, makikita mo na parang may nagbabulge. So, yun. And then the thickness of the muscle and fat is so great that the reference mark of the transverse process are also lost dito sa part na to. And then it is impossible to grasp the transverse process dito sa lumbar niya. Then the sternal fat now extends and covers the sternum, joining fat covering cartilages and ribs. So hindi mo na ma-feel yung mga joints niya and then it cannot be grasped na. So yun. So yun yung mga body condition score na tinatawag and its visual representation. So, from body condition na 1, which is yun yung pinakapayat, yun yung pinakamalnourished, hanggang sa body condition score na 5, which is yun yung pinaka-obese. So, with that, let's go para maintindihan natin kung ilan yung body scoring na dapat nating i-maintain sa pregnant goat. Sa goat during sa breeding, sa gestation part niya. So, let's first discuss yung breeding part. So, before breeding, it is typically recommended that the first freshening dose be at least 65% of their adult weight. So, kailangan, if its adult weight is, let's just say, nasa mga 16 kilograms. So, 65% yun, before breeding, dapat na-attain na nung goat natin. Then, the doe should have a body scoring nasa 2.5 to 3. So, yun, di ba? Present ko kanina yung body condition score. So, kailangan nasa 2.5 to 3 yung body condition score. And then, the doe should also be the worm and have received vitamins. So, this is before breeding para mas healthy yung yung doe mo nasasalang sa breeding. So yun, dapat na the worm and then dapat binigyan mo ng vitamins. Then feeding a grain concentrate starting 2 weeks prior to breeding and then you continue for about 2 weeks after is suggested to get a thin dose body weight up to itong 2.5 to 3. So, yun yung gagawin para ma-attain ito. Dapat magpakain ka ng concentrate, mga grain concentrate, starting 2 weeks before yung breeding. So, pag nag-breed ka, plano mong mag-breed nung November, let's just say November 15, mga ganun, or November 19. So, ngayon pa lang, mga November 5, November 4, mga ganun, nagpapakain ka na ng grain concentrate. So, yun. Then, normal feeding at this stage should consist of pasture. So, kailangan pa rin yan. Kailangan na bibigyan mo pa rin ng pasture yung mga grasses, mga forages, yung goat mo. And then, hay. So, it is recommended that you save your best hay for early lactation. So, sinasabi na sa breeding, hindi naman required na yung high quality na pasture, high quality na hay yung ibibigay mo. So, yung mga highest quality na hay ibibigay mo during lactation because this is the stage of the goat na kailangan niya talaga ng nutrients. And then, you should also feed them minerals containing 16% calcium and 8% phosphorus. So, it is recommended that you maintain the calcium to phosphorus ratio of 2:1 to make sure that they're getting enough calcium. Then, it is also beneficial, again, to deworm a couple of weeks prior to breeding if analysis indicates it is needed. So, sinasabi daw na i-deworm mo ulit. Pag nakita mo na parang may prevalent ng parasite doon sa mga internal parasite doon sa pasture mo, doon sa herd mo, then to make sure na walang parasite that can hinder yung yung parang absorption na ng nutrients, ng enough nutrients, then dapat i-deworm mo ulit. So yun yung dapat gawin. And then after breeding, if there is a successful breeding, then this will lead to pregnancy, to gestating na. So sa early gestation, during this time sa early gestation, the embryo will grow slowly and there are usually few observed changes in the dough. And then, dapat, you still maintain yung 2.5 to 3 score ng body condition niya. And it is important not to stress the dough. Bakit? Kasi during early gestation, medyo parang sensitive yung goat. So, if you stress yung dough, pag naka-experience siya ng stress, like merong pumuntang predator like dogs, and then mga climatic conditions like typhoon, mga ganun, this will cause reproductive failure doon sa goat. Baka it will cause abortion. So, hindi na magde-develop yung embryo, mga ganun. So, during early gestation, it is important not to give stress to the doe. Then, feeding should consist of medium quality hay, good pasture, and free choice goat mineral. So, just like on the breeding part, pakainin mo pa rin ng good pasture, then mag-supplement ka pa rin ng mineral, and then pakainin mo rin ng quality hay. So, yun dapat yung gagawin. And then, for the late gestating goat naman, during the last 6 weeks, so it is considered yung last 6 week, it is considered as yung late gestating period na ng goat. Fetal growth increases exponentially, so nutrition should increase to bring the body condition score up to 3.5 to 4. So, kailangan na during late gestating period ng goat, yung body condition score niya nasa 3.5 to 4. Medyo mas mataba na compared doon sa early gestating period na goat. And then, in order to achieve a body condition score na 3.5 to 4, then kailangan talaga na magbigay ka ng mas maraming nutrients, magbigay ka ng mas maraming forages, magbigay ka ng mas high quality na mga pastures, mga hay, and then mag-supplement ka ng concentrate, mag-supplement ka ng vitamins and minerals in order to meet yung nutrient requirement na kailangan ng isang goat that is on its late gestating period. Kasi sa late gestating period, as sinabi ko nga, yung bata, yung kid, yung kambing na nasa loob ng nanay, nag-i-increase yan exponentially. Talagang yung pag-grow niya talagang mabilis na. So, kailangan na marami siyang nutrients. Sufficient yung nutrients na binibigay natin. Then, feed should consist of pasture medium to good hay, and then free choice mineral and a grain concentrate gradually needs to be added. So, yun. Dapat yun yung ipakain mo. During late gestating period, pasture pa rin, medium to good hay, and then minerals, and then dito pa papakain ng concentrate, grain concentrate, para ma-achieve niya yung nutrient requirement niya. And then for the grain concentrate na i-supplement mo, 15% protein goat pellet is recommended at this point the dough needs to start eating for at least 2. So yon, kailangan na yung protein na binibigay mo na nandoon sa grain concentrate na binibigay mo dapat nasa 15%. Kasi kailangan niya ng protein for the growth and development ng anak niya. And then it is recommended na at this period, at this late gestating period, consider na yung pinapakain mo na pregnant goat para sa dalawa na, para sa kanya at para sa anak niya. So yun yung dapat i-consider. Then it is also important during this period to watch the goats daily. If their body condition score is inadequate, they can go into ketosis na tinatawag. Then pwede yung pregnancy toxemia or hypocalcemia quickly. So if you are not providing the required nutrients for the goat during this period, magano siya ng ketosis, pregnancy toxemia or hypocalcemia. Yun yung So kailangan na you watch it daily. I-observe mo palagi yung goat mo, hindi yung binigyan mo na ng pagkain at saka tubig, hindi mo na titignan. So kailangan pa rin na you observe yung goat, yung pregnant goat mo. Then, at 1 week prior to kidding, it's often recommended that the dose be dewormed again. So, worm loads tend to increase rapidly in dose just prior to kidding. So, the worming just before kidding can minimize parasite problems for both the dose and the kid. So, during yung pag yung malapit na siyang manganak, sinasabi daw na nag-i-increase yung parang nakukuha niya or nag-i-increase yung parang population ng parasite or yung worm load, yung parasite load doon sa kambing. So, it is recommended that you deworm yung kambing mo para sa ganun, maiiwasan yung mga diseases, problems that is often associated with mga parasites. Both doon sa nanay at doon sa kid, yung ipapanganak na kambing. So, yun yung kailangan gawin. It is recommended that 1 week before yung expected kidding day niya or yung expected kidding niya, dapat na i-deworm mo. So, yun yung laging tatandaan. Then, after nanganak, after gestating, next comes yung lactating period. Yung lactating, alam naman natin, dito yung nagpro-provide ng milk, yung dairy goat natin. So, dito yung aim natin. Dito yung gusto natin. Kasi dito, yun nga, nagpro-provide na ng milk. So, kailangan na maganda yung nutrition niya para mas maganda yung yield, mas maganda yung production niya ng milk. Then, kung mas maganda yung production niya ng milk, mas maganda yung yield niya ng milk, then magre-reflect yun doon sa income ng farmer. So, during lactating, ng dairy goat to dairy goat. So, yun, hindi nakasali yung kid dito. Kasi most probably, pag dairy goat na, ihihiwalay na yung anak. So, I don't know kung ilang days, pero I think nasa 3 days. After 3 days, ihihiwalay na yung anak. So, keep milk type goats in a quiet environment before and during milking. Kasi yung noise and yung parang pag nakakita yung goat ng mga strangers, yung hindi familiar na mukha, hindi familiar na environment, this may affect yung goat's nervous system and this may lead to a decrease in milk production. So kailangan keep yung mga dairy goats natin in a quiet environment that is comfortable para doon sa dairy goat natin. Then clip the hairs on the udder regularly. This is to prevent the contamination of milk during milking. So, yung hair kasi, it can harbor mga dirt, it can harbor or pwedeng pamugaran ng mga bacteria. So, kung may mga hair ka doon sa udder mo, doon yung around the udder, or doon sa other mismo, then during the milking process, maaari na makontaminate yung milk. So, maaari na may maisamang mga dirt that comes from the hair. So, it is recommended that you clip yung hair. You remove yung hair on the other regularly kasi tutubo pa rin yan. Hindi lang yung one time na cleanip mo, okay na. So, regularly, pag nakita mong may mga hairs na naman, then you clip it again. You remove the hair again. So, yun. Then, separate the buck from the milking herd to avoid taint in the milk. So, ay parang may mga experiences kasi yung mga farmers na pag nandun, pagkasama yung buck, yung lalaking breeder mo, doon sa mga milking na does, yung experience kasi nila, sinasabi nila na mabaho daw yung amoy at saka hindi daw maganda yung taste ng milk pagkasama yung buck doon sa mga milking dough. This is because daw doon sa taint, yung parang amoy ng buck. Pero I don't know what yung a deeper explanation, a deeper science doon sa scientific explanation doon sa kung bakit parang nahahawaan yung amoy ng buck yung milk. Pero this might be due to the, I think, natural na smell nung buck at saka yung mga hormones that prevails doon sa buck. Baka yun yung mga factors that may lead to yun, pagkasira. Let's just say pagkasira kasi na taint. Talagang mag-iiba yung amoy at saka yung taste ng milk. So, it is best that you separate yung buck. Kasi hindi mo naman kailangan yung buck during milking process. So, bakit pa isasama mo doon sa doon sa milking herd mo. So, i-separate mo na. So, to get the best milking result, the following are important. Quickness, quietness, gentleness, and then regularity of milking process. So, kailangan na yung milking process kasi, it can be stressful to the milking dough. So, kailangan dapat quick ka sa milking process. Hindi yung 30 minutes ka na sa isang kambing pa lang. So, may stress na yung kambing. So, dapat you are quick. And then, another one, quiet dapat. No unnecessary noises. Kasi may stress yung dairy goat mo. Then, gentleness. So, all of these, all of these will reduce yung stress. Dapat quick ka, dapat quiet. And then, dapat gentle ka rin. Hindi yung parang pinipiga mo na yung other nung talagang pinipiga mo na yung other nung dairy dough. Hindi ganun. And then there should be regularity of milking process para masanay yung kambing, para maging comfortable na rin siya sa paghawak mo doon sa udder niya. So these are the things that you need to do uh, para you yield, para the dairy goat can produce yung milk, the best milk. So yun. Then, um, ito yung parang care ng lactating goat if you're practicing hand milking na procedure. Kasi pwede rin yung machine eh. Pero this is hindi naman ganun ka-popular and at the same time, medyo mahal yung um, pag-i-install nung parang machine na automatic na nag-aano ng milk doon sa goat. Kasi yung machine, most probably rin is kailangan ng special training both doon sa operator ng machine at saka yung mga kambing. Kasi pag machine yung ginagamit, yung tendency natatakot yung mga goat. Kasi machine nga yun, hindi familiar sa kanila. So, kailangan na i-train mo muna para masanay sila. So, hindi ganun masyadong popular and at the same time expensive na rin kasi kaya hindi masyadong popular. So, most probably, nasa hand milking procedure most of the time yung uh, mga ginagawa doon sa mga dairy farms, dairy goat farms. So, sa hand milking procedure, when milk is ready, dapat you wash your hand with soap and water. That is like a common sense that you need to do para maiwasan rin yung contamination doon sa milk. Kasi kahit na malinis yung udder, it is free from mga hair, free from dirt. Kung yung namang naghahawak, yung farmer, marumi yung kamay, then wala ring silbi. Mako-contaminate pa rin. There's a possibility of contamination pa rin doon sa milk. Then, there's an option also that you use a milking stand to facilitate the milking process. Parang ganito. Pupunta dito yung goat, then dito, sasakay siya, pupunta siya dito, then dito ka kukuha ng milk. Dito ilalagay mo yung kamay mo, then doon mo hahawakan dito sa udder niya. So, yan yung milking stand na tinatawag. So, a stainless steel should be used for pail because it is easily kept clean. So, yun. Yung mga plastic kasi pwedeng mamantsahan yan. And mas mahirap linisin yung mga plastic na mga pail. Yung pail, yun yung paglalagyan mo ng milk. So, kailangan mas maganda pag stainless kasi mas easier yung cleaning process. Then, prepare the goat for milking by washing the udder with lukewarm water and water containing soap. So, linisin mo rin yung udder, hindi lang yung kamay mo. And then, wipe the udder with clean sanitized towel and do not use sponges for washing the udder. So, yun. Recommended daw na you do not use sponges maybe because rough yung sponge. So, mas maganda na yung towel, yung malinis na towel, yung pamunas mo doon sa udder. And then, washing udders will also aid in stimulating milk ejection. So, yun. So, importante na hindi lang to prevent contamination. Kasi yung pag-wash mo ng udder, this will also stimulate yung milk ejection. So, mas madali ka nang makakakuha ng milk doon sa dairy goat mo. Then, another one, always approach the goat quietly. Hindi yung you provide yung dairy goat mo with unnecessary noises, unnecessary movement. That can cause stress to the dairy goat. Pag na-stress na yan, baka ayaw na niyang magpa-milk sa'yo, ayaw niya nang magpagatas sa'yo. So, dapat quietly yung pag-approach, hindi aggressive. Then, Wrap the whole udder at the back and then around the front. This does not only prepare the goat but also removes any loose hair from the udder. So yun, hawakan mo yung mga udder niya muna para ma-stimulate yung milk secretion. And then never milk with wet hand. So, kailangan na dry at saka malinis yung kamay mo if you're going to milk yung goat, yung dairy goat. Then, milk the first 3 or 4 streams of milk from each teat into a strip cup. Uh, Ginagawa ito para ma-deflect, para hindi maisama yung mga flaky or stringy milk which may indicate mastitis. So, kailangan na i-test mo muna yung inaano mong milk. Baka naman may sakit na yung kambing. So, ganito yung parang stringy na milk. So, pag may nakita kang ganito, this may indicate na may mastitis yung kambing mo, parang ganito. Then, avoid using milk showing these signs of to human consumption. Kasi, mastitis, may infection yan eh. So, baka contaminated na yung milk. So, hindi na fit for human consumption. And then, any goats with signs of mastitis should be milkless para I guess para ma-avoid yung contamination with other goats kasi pag una mong minilk yung may sakit na mastitis, then maghahawak ka doon sa ibang mga goat, then may possibility na magkakahawaan ka, magiging vector ka. So, you need to milk yung goat with mastitis last. Then avoid spreading the disease to other goats through contaminated bedding or unsanitized hand. So yun yung ano para hindi mahawaan yung ibang dairy goats natin. Then ito yung parang technique. So avoid allowing milk in the teats to go back to the udder, and in order to prevent this yung uh, parang babalik yung milk doon sa udder nung dairy goat, close the thumb and the fist finger around the teats, and then close the second finger followed by the third finger, and then use steady pressure and do not jerk the teat down. Steady pressure lang, i-pressure mo yung ano, yung teats nung kambing. Then, close the little finger and squeeze the milk with the entire hand until the milk comes out. So, parang ganyan. And then, release the pressure on the teeth and open your finger so that the teeth can refill again. Then, repeat the process with the other hand on the other teeth and continue milking alternately until very little milk comes out. So, yun daw. Una, ito muna ang thumb finger at ito isang finger mo yung hahawak, and then susunod na mga ito constantly applying pressure hanggang sa lalabas na yung milk. So ito parang diagram. You wash hand with soap and water and then dry them before starting to milk. So kailangan na malinis yung kamay mo sa paghahawak ng udder. And then do the same with the udder on the parts around it. So kung nilinis mo yung kamay mo, then linisin mo rin yung udder niya para wala na talagang mga bakterya na magko-contaminate. So linisin mo yung udder, hindi lang sa udder, also the other parts that are near the udder. Then after that, after mo nalinisan, grasp the teeth with the thumb and the first finger. So parang ganyan. And then close the second finger and milk will squirt out. Kasi pag close mo, you're applying pressure na. This means that milk will secrete. Discard the first stream for it is high in bacteria. So sinasabi daw na wag mo munang ilagay doon sa pail mo, doon sa lalagyan mo ng milk, yung mga first few secretion niya ng milk kasi this is high in bacteria daw. And then, close the third finger to, close mo na, and then press a little steadily. Pero don't jerk down, wag mong ipupul pababa yung teeth. Just apply pressure. And then close the little finger and squeeze the teeth with the whole hand. So after that, then lahat na nung fingers mo na nakahawak na doon sa teeth. And then you apply pressure na. Then after mo nakasikrit na ng milk, you release the teeth so that it will be filled with milk again. And then fill the teeth again to see if all the milk has come out. So pag yung mga milk na nanggaling doon sa other pupunta na sa milk, ay doon sa teeth, then mafi-fill mo naman. So yun yung gagawin. And then, repeat the process. Again, grasp the teeth with your thumb and then fist finger and then run your fingers down to the tip of the teeth to force some milk that is still in it to come out. So yun, parang parang yung pag-ano mo ng toothpaste, yung nakasachet na toothpaste na pinipilit mong kunin yung mga last drop ng toothpaste. So, ganun yung gagawin. You run your fingers down to the tip of the teeth until doon sa ano niya. To the tip of the teeth. From the base of the teeth to the tip of the teeth. Yun yung gagawin mo para makuha mo lahat ng milk. Yun yung procedure in milking. So, dapat you apply constant pressure and then hindi naman yung talagang force, wag mong bibiglain yung pag-apply ng pressure, wag masyadong mag-apply ng force, yung enough lang para mag-secrete yung milk. So yun yung gagawin on a lactating dairy goat. So with that, let's end here pa lang dito sa first part nitong herd management natin ng dairy goat. So with that, thank you for listening.